I think my why in this business is because I'm really nosy and I like to.
Me too.
I like to figure out. Yeah. I love to talk to people. I think that's it. I try to be a very personable guy. But I think people deserve to know what's happening in the community around them. And welcome to News 3 at 11. I'm Jay Greene. So glad you could be joining us tonight.
We're here with Jay Greene. He is a news anchor, journalist, producer. Some would say executive producer. I would say executive producer because he wears so many hats here at News 3. But Jay,
I gotta keep the hair looking with so many hats. Get into it.
Okay. But he is an amazing journalist. I've learned so much from him just by me and you being colleagues.
Oh yeah, we've had a lot of fun.
Yes, great newsroom leader. Yes. I love it. Jay, how are you today?
I'm good. Today is my Wednesday because I work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So today is my middle of the week. So we're just trying to get through it.
Amen. Look, turning out different story ideas every day.
Right. Trying to find who I'm going to talk to and whose stories I'm going to tell. Yes.
Some days it's
a struggle.
Yes.
It's a struggle.
Because it's like you're making phone calls. I mean, some days I'm like making phone calls for like a whole hour trying to get a story set up.
And sometimes those stories don't even turn out,
right? And then you show up to the editorial meeting, and it's like, you got to put something on the table.
It's like a gauntlet.
Yes,
you go into the fire. Yeah.
How has your time at News 3 been?
It's been a good time at News 3. It's been interesting. There have been some rough patches on the way. I started as a digital producer, so I was off air for about a year, and then then we had some positions come available, so I went back on air and started reporting. But it's been interesting. You just never know what you're going to cover. As you know, you never know what stories are going to come down. You might be in your fourth story of the night before something actually pulls through. Yes. And sometimes they're late nights. Yeah. I have a feeling that's the way tonight's going to be. But you just never know. And you and I have covered some crazy things, whether I was on digital or reporting. We've just covered some crazy things here, but I feel like I've gained a lot of good experience here. You just never know what you're going to cover. I mean, I will say, I think one thing that I've learned is you can't let other people get in the way of the story you want to tell. There are some people who are like, oh, that's not a story, it's not going to turn, but if you are passionate enough about your story, you can make it interesting.
Okay, yes, because I've seen a lot of reporters pitch stories where it's kind of like, it may not sound like a good story, but because they're confident in pitching the story, it goes through. Yeah. And I feel like confidence is such a big thing in this industry, just having confidence and being confident in what you say. You go so much further. But wow, that's a gem right there.
Yeah, truly. For sure. It takes a lot to get through a night. But then at the end of the night, you tell a story that you're proud of.
Yes.
And that you hope might change somebody's views on something or give a different perspective. I feel like that's what we aim for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What's been like your most impactful or memorable story that you've told?
My most impactful story. I got to interview. Well, I would say I've covered a Donald Trump rally, so that was interesting. Yeah. But I would say one of my most impactful stories, at least that it had an impact on me, was I got to interview a wife who was caring for her husband, and he had pretty I don't want to say severe, but pretty heavy Alzheimer's and dementia. Yeah. And so in the interview, there were things that he could not remember just because of the stage of his journey he's in. So, that was impactful on me, kind of coming face to face with that and watching her help him. But like, great family. They gave a wonderful interview and we had a wonderful story. I would also say, and Leandra, I know you can relate to this too, but a lot of the crime stories that we do, especially in the wake of crimes, whether they be murders, homicides, those impact people, especially some of our younger people in our community. We go talk to their families, sometimes on their worst days, or sometimes on the days where they're grieving and holding memorials or vigils or something like that. And so we are kind of there bombarding them a little bit, but often you're there to cover their story. It's not about you, So I would say those have been some of the most impactful. And that's one of the things that you don't see when you're a web producer.
Right.
So that's really why I wanted to get out from behind the desk and into the field. because I wanted to hear everybody's stories and actually meet these people.
Right.
Because they are people.
Right. And like you said, you are showing up on their worst days. You know, they've lost their son or daughter or sister, brother, grandchild. And I mean, you're very personable. For those stories, it's so important to just come off very personable to even get them to talk. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's real. Yeah. Tell me, where are you from, and where did you first start off your career?
I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland.
Come on, be more.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm from north of Baltimore. I actually live closer to Pennsylvania than I did Baltimore, but I always tell people Baltimore because that's what's fine. My first job was in a really tiny town in Grand Junction, Colorado. I loved my time there. I wasn't making very much money, but so you can't be in it for the money, especially when I was starting out, you couldn't be in it for the money. But I made a lot of wonderful friends there, some of who I still talk to. And so just learned a lot there, and that's where you grow your thick skin, is in those tiny markets. So I was very fortunate to work there, yeah.
How long were you in Colorado?
I was in Colorado for about a week shy of 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And then I moved to Iowa, and I worked there for about 3.5 years. And then I came to Virginia.
Yes. Okay, journalism definitely kind of seems like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And I know, so we have some friends that are just kind of like, I think I'm done with journalism. I think this may be the last stop. Do you think you're done with or how long do you think you would be in this industry? Have you ever gotten burnt out?
Yeah, I would say the burnout, you feel that a lot. I think that's just the nature of the business, but I think my why in this business is because I'm really nosy and I like to.
Me too.
I like to figure out. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Hello. Against the glass.
I love to talk to people. I think that's it. I try to be a very personable guy. But I think people deserve to know what's happening in the community around them and what their neighbors are going through. And here in Hampton Roads, we've got 7 cities, but I think everybody cares about what's happening in each of those cities. So we might tell a story out of Portsmouth, but I can guarantee you that somebody in Newport News or Hampton is going to care about, or even Northeastern North Carolina is going to care about.
What is your ultimate goal? Like, where would you say, like, oh, that's my dream job? I would love to do that.
Location is funny because I have never been like, oh, I have to live there, I have to live here. I didn't plan on living in Grand Junction, Cedar Rapids, or Norfolk, so it just kind of, these places just kind of happened. I would say if I had like a dream of where it would either be Atlanta or Denver.
Atlanta.
Right. Period.
Yes.
I spent time in Colorado, so obviously I know Denver. Loved it out there. Loved being in the mountains, and then I really been to Atlanta a couple times for some conferences, and so I really enjoyed my time in Buckhead. So
yes. Would you say your dream job or just dream thing would be like anchoring, correspondent, PR?
I definitely like being out with the people, so it would definitely be some type of reporting or correspondent type gig. But who doesn't love the anchors?
And sit pretty behind an anchor desk.
Right.
Hello. Period. Okay. So you've accomplished so much. Phenomenal journalism.
Thank you.
What would you recommend? What's your advice to the next generation of young journalists, even journalists who are in college?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. When I was going from reporting or digital to reporting, she was like a huge mentor for me, huge inspiration for me. So
I could say the same thing about you as well. Likewise, yes.
So you have to and watch your fellow reporters and go to news stations, websites, and watch their stories. Like that's how you're going to get better, is by watching. I would also say start curating your social media presence. Try whatever platform comes out, make a username that you want to be attached to your professional life, and make it claim your space in that world. But yeah, I would say first and foremost, don't be afraid to ask for help. This is a tough business. We're trying to make it happen every day, and nine times out of 10, your coworkers or your classmates will be there to help guide you. And also, your professors at wherever you go to college or university, I think they were a huge inspiration for me at Towson. So I think that there's something to be said about asking for help. And then the other thing is don't be afraid of criticism. This is we get a lot of criticism in this job. Sometimes we don't want to hear it. Yeah. Sometimes we do want to hear it. It just kind of depends on the day and the situation. So I would say be open to getting constructive criticism, and sometimes it's fierce criticism. But
yes, that's real. Yes, wow. Okay, I'm literally taking advice as you're talking.
Oh,
I'm just taking it all in. Last question here, because this is something I like. Wow, you know what I mean? I want to know. So you come in here every day with such a positive attitude. You're always willing to do just anything. You know what I mean? What keeps you going every day? And for you all that don't know, reporters, we have to find our own stories. Just really being in the know, like, every single day, staying in contact with our sources. Many people may think like reporters were just given a story, but we're finding those stories, we're vetting those stories every single day, 5 days a week. And I know you come in here just every single day with just like a great attitude, a great personality, just willing to get it done. What keeps you going every day? And I've never seen you snap or just get out of character.
It rarely happens. Yeah. It has happened, but it rarely happens. One, I think, is I'm a Capricorn, so I'm just like, get out of my way and let me do what I need to do, but I'll put a smile on. Yeah. Yes. But I love my job. You can't let the people around you or the circumstances get in the way of your love for the job, and so that's what keeps me positive. But I also get to see something. I was talking with Pari, one of our other anchors, about this last night. But I get to work with some incredibly talented people every single day, whether I'm here on the weekends or here during the week. And so that really drives me. But attitude is everything. Mm-hmm. Like if I come in with a sucky attitude and Leandra comes in with a sucky attitude, then the whole night's going to be sucky. So so attitude really is huge in this industry, and then others feed off of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you, Jay.
Yeah.
For the people who don't know, how old are you?
I will be 32 in January.
Wow.
And still single, so.
Woo! Praise God. That's a whole other podcast. Yes, God. Well, Jay, I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Leandra. You're amazing. I love you so much.
Thank you.
Boom.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Period.